House File 348, Representative Scott's bill. Representative Scott, would you like to move your, I guess we're moving for possible inclusion in the omnibus bill, but Representative Scott, would you like to move your bill?
Sure, Madam Chair, I would move House File, what is it again, 348?
Yep.
To be recommended for inclusion in a possible omnibus bill.
All right. Thank you, Representative Scott. With that, your bill is before us. I believe you have an author's amendment, the A210008 author's amendment. Would you like to move your amendment?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. This amendment puts the bill in the version that we'd like, and it's the same as what we did in 2019. And I would move the A19 amendment.
And actually, I'm going to ask staff real quick just to make sure we've got the right amendment number. Is it the A19?
I'm sorry, correct? No, that's not right. This is last night.
Yeah, the A21-0008.
Okay, and as Representative Scott knows, you got to make sure you've got everything accurate in a minute. So Representative Scott moves the A21-0008 amendment. Not seeing any hands up. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Aye. All right, the motion prevails. The amendment is adopted. Representative Scott, please tell us about your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll try to keep my comments brief so we can get to the testifiers. But I think we all have experienced, we probably know somebody or work with somebody that has experienced a divorce, going through a divorce, or in the case of never married parents, just separating, and the harm that, the difficulty that is not only for the adults, the parents, but for the children too. We know the outcomes for the children are sometimes not good when they go through this separation of their parents, and it's increased rates of anxiety and depression, school productivity, behaviors, all those sorts of things. And then we also know that parents can also be really negatively affected with feelings of depression and loneliness, regret, and really all-out helplessness in some cases. So in the Supreme Court or the legislature back in 1996-97 noted that those are problems. And so they asked the Supreme Court to look into what we can do to help address those issues. And one of the recommendations of the Supreme Court Task Force on Visitation and Child Support Enforcement came up with this order for not only, well, there's a whole list of things, but one of those things is for parent education. And so on the posting documents that we set up for this committee, there is a document entitled Court Order on Parent Education. And if you go to Appendix A of that, it states the purpose for these parent education classes. And it's basically the purpose of a parent education program should be to serve as an early intervention mechanism to encourage cooperation between parents before adversarial behavior and conflict have a chance to develop. And it goes on to explain other goals. And so the reason that I'm bringing this bill forward is that courts are not implementing current law consistently from one jurisdiction to the next. And currently some parents, although required by state statute to have the parenting classes in contested cases, are not taking the classes because judges aren't ordering them to do so. And there seems to be some difference in the way the word contested is interpreted. I'm not sure how that happens, but so what this bill language does is it would require classes to be court ordered in cases where the parents haven't agreed to custody or parenting time schedule. And to keep up with technology, we're requiring that the chief judge of each judicial district post information about these classes on the district's website. And I think that may have already been done. And also, I just want to make it clear that there is a cost to these parent education class. It's between $70 and $90, but state statute allows anybody that qualifies for a waiver of court filing fees that they will receive these parent education classes for free. So I will now turn it over to the testifiers, and they can tell you a little bit more about the bill and the reason behind it. Thanks, Madam
Right. First on the list, I have Diane Anderson, and I'll just remind the testifiers that we've got just a couple minutes, so try to be as focused as you can be. Ms. Anderson, please introduce yourself for the committee, and then go ahead with your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I'm Diane Anderson, and I'm a former state representative. And I thank Representative Scott for bringing this bill forward so we can make some much needed changes to an existing law that we have. And there's just a lot of great research out there that's been done regarding the effectiveness of divorce education programs. Parents who attended the parent education classes generally avoid exposing their children to conflict situations and are more aware of their children's feelings than a comparison group of parents. And parents who attended the divorce education classes have lower relitigation rates than those who did not attend. And Parents Forever has done some great studies. They had out a survey after their classes, and they just have a wide variety of things that they ask people. And the majority of the people state that they really benefited in a lot of ways for taking these classes. So there's some really great parent education classes out there that have been developed. Our next testifier is going to talk to you about the Parents Forever class. And many people are just not attending these classes. Many parents don't know that there are these parent education classes are available and that there's a lot of benefits in the information that they learn from these classes. And having information about the classes on the court website will be a big help to get the information out to people. And one of the biggest things is that classes are best if they're taken at the beginning of the court process. One of the biggest complaints that people have said is they wish they had taken the classes sooner. So, and there's also a growing number of pro se people. Those are people who don't have attorneys. And so these parent education classes would be really valuable to pro se people because it's going to give them a lot of information that they wouldn't otherwise be getting. And just to note on line 2.14 of the bill, people do have the option to opt out of having to take the classes if they really can't. There's some it's not going to be hard to opt out. So like Representative Scott said, and the legislature requested on November 11th, 1995, the Minnesota Supreme Court issued an order establishing the Advisory Task Force on Visitation and Child Support Enforcement. And I was actually a member on this task force. And the task force conducted research, a lot of research, and they made recommendations. And in that report, if anybody wants to have a copy, it's a very lengthy report, recommendations number 1 and 2, which of the task force report, which is dated January 27th, 1997, the task force made recommendations to implement a statewide parent education program, which is what we have in our law right today under Minnesota Statute 518.157, and it was passed back in 1997. So the task force conducted a survey of parents and judicial officers, and both were strongly supportive of a policy which would require parents to attend parent education classes before being permitted to proceed with their divorce or paternity actions. And on page 43 of this report, the researchers reported the data show that once having completed a program, parents find them to be relevant, realistic, and useful. And so I really believe that House File 347 makes some much needed changes to the existing parent education statute, and I would appreciate your support for this bill. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Anderson. We've got one question, but I want to get to the second testifier, Dr. Becker. If you could introduce yourself for the record and go ahead with your testimony. And I will note, members, that there was also information included in your virtual packets from the U of M.
Thank you, Chair Becker-Finn. Thank you, representatives. My name is Emily Becher. I'm an applied research and evaluation specialist at the University of Minnesota Extension Center for Family Development. My testimony today is to share the value of parent education during divorce, separation, and changes in custody. Interparental conflict, separation, and divorce are identified as adverse childhood experiences, often referred to as ACEs. As children are exposed to more ACEs, risk increases overall for a variety of poor outcomes, including declining health and well-being later in life. Research on divorcing families has identified that the unique risk factor for children in these circumstances is continued pervasive conflict between co-parents before, during, and after relationship dissolution. While divorce rates in the U.S. continue to decline, 23% of children live in a household with a single parent, which is 3 times the amount compared to the rest of the world. It is critical for the welfare of children of these families that as parents form and sometimes dissolve their relationships, they work towards healthy co-parenting and reduce conflict. The University of Minnesota Extension developed the Parents Forever curriculum in the mid-1990s in response to requests for education for parents in the divorce and separation process. Research indicates that divorce and co-parenting education have positive impacts on families, and our evaluation data indicates that Parents Forever is an effective program in promoting positive co-parenting and positive parenting practices. In 2020, 1,530 participants registered for the Parents Forever program. Of those participants, 973 completed a post-survey. Of those, 96% said they had never taken a course like this previously, and 88% said that they were required by the court to take the class. After taking the class, 81% said that they were glad to have participated in the course, regardless of whether they had been required to participate. The majority of survey participants indicated they had positive experiences. So, for example, 90% of participants agreed that the course would be beneficial for other divorcing parents, and 81% agreed that the course helped them to think of new ways to resolve conflict about their children with the children they have with their co-parent. 79% agreed the course helped them to assist their children in the coping process, and 83% agreed the course helped them to be more attentive to their children's needs in the divorce process. Participants share many comments about their experience. Just a couple examples. One parent shared, "I strongly feel that parents should be required to take this course early as a first step in the transition, to have the tools and knowledge to better handle and approach already existing problems or issues they may be experiencing with a co-parent and children." Or as another participant shared, "Thanks for the installation of hope that this journey is about love for our children." Please let me know if you have additional questions, and thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing any other member questions. Representative Scott, any closing comments?
No, I just thank you, Madam Chair, for giving the bill a hearing, and thank you to our testifiers. I think this is a small thing that we can do to really help kids and parents better cope with dissolving families.
All right. Thank you, Representative Scott. Representative Scott would renews her motion. Oh, I guess her motion that we're laying over House File 348 as amended. And so the bill is laid over.